Remove her now.
Of course.
Remove her now.
This is what we're talking
That is
about.
what you're going through.
No.
We're going to see this again.
Okay.
And everything she has said.
Remove him as well.
I'm sorry that you're going through.
Here we go, removing people, again for using constitutionally protected speech.
Judge O'Hare, if I'm not mistaken, your Facebook page is a public forum, but you blocked me. I'd encourage you.
It's not, but okay.
When are you going to fire Bill Waybourne and call for an investigation for his costly negligence? This court must demand the body cam footage be released immediately. TikTok commissioners, your time's up.
You talk about decorum, that's the nastiest word I've heard. Transparency. When have you ever been transparent? And that family's back there waiting to see a videotape that they will never see because it will be caught up in bureaucracy and red tape, because that's not the way Tyranny County does business.
We were told in the foyer that we couldn't be out there documenting the removal of individuals from the meetings just now. Someone just told me they heard Chief Driscoll tell other deputies that criminal trespass charges could be used against people for simply being in the area that has commonly had the same number of people before and after the meetings. I would like you to instruct that there be no interferences with citizens attempting to observe and/or document interactions with deputies.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today, we're examining the latest Tarrant County Commissioners meeting from February 19th, 2025. County Judge Tim O'Hare continued his authoritarian tactics, ejecting attendees for remarks or sounds he deemed unacceptable, despite the Supreme Court affirming such expressions as First Amendment rights. At one point, he abruptly halted the meeting to investigate a beeping noise, which was traced to the sheriff's deputies' metal detectors in the hallway. Once identified as noise from the sheriff, he approved of this noise. This selective approval of noise from the sheriff's equipment while removing people for noises he doesn't approve of exemplifies viewpoint discrimination, favoring certain expressions over others based on Tim O'Hare's perspective. Sheriff Bill Waybourne made a brief appearance, commending his deputies for neutralizing an individual they saw as a threat, emphasizing their advanced training and strict adherence to procedures. However, this training and adherence to procedures seemed to vanish when the same Sheriff's Department deputies fatally engaged with members of the public who were harmless and merely in need of medical attention. Notably, Sheriff Waybourne exited before citizens could voice their grievances about such incidents, including the recent shooting of 19-year-old Christopher Loyo during the service of a mental health warrant. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below with your thoughts, and let's get into the video.
We were told in the foyer that we couldn't be out there documenting the removal of individuals from the meetings just now. Someone just told me they heard Chief Driscoll tell other deputies that criminal trespass charges could be used against people for simply being in the area that has commonly had the same number of people before and after the meetings. I would like you to instruct that there be no interferences with citizens attempting to observe and/or document interactions with deputies. I'm here for my friend, wonderful and wonderfully made Mason Yancey. Upon finishing 8th grade, I believed that elections were the only thing needed to distinguish a republic or a democracy from a dictatorship. We now know this to be incorrect due to the fact that once an election is over and the individual is sworn in, they can become an outright dictator, particularly when others nearby with vested power do nothing, and particularly with the assistance of what can be described as a self-constructed paramilitary force more inclined to enforce colorable policies than actual law. We know that profanity is protected speech in America. We have abundant case law. That case law has been cited in these meetings, and yet the policy, known to be in direct contradiction to this law, has not been corrected. We have not course-corrected away from illegal policy back to the enforcement of actual law, which is what these individuals swore to do when they first took these positions. Exhibit A. Exhibit B was the removal of a properly licensed former law enforcement officer from the previous meeting for lawful carrying of a firearm. Exhibit C, the violent arrest of other individuals. D, the willful disregard and refusal to comply with the clearly written provisions of the Sandra Bland Act. Authority wielded by elected officials is based on trust. But when those among us trusted to hold society together through the enforcement of law are not only ignoring it, but breaking it in the case of laws that apply to them, while enforcing their personal policies on the people through arrest and jail time, then the trust disintegrates and we see what remains. Naked brutality, the advance of accumulation of power, and as we see in these meetings, the punishment of those for calling out the abuses listed. And the ugliest proof of this would be the complete lack of hesitancy to use these tactics, even when the irony and illegality involved in initiating violence against the people for calling out the violence is on full public display. It is fueling the situation when Janelle Johnson comes in here and accidentally uses the F word, and she's removed. You're just adding fuel to it. I don't want to come down here and talk about these deaths. German law enforcement has an anti-knife suit. Why don't you buy that?
Thank you.
I'm actually going to address the family. I know, and I'm so sorry for this to happen to your brother. It's actually very disingenuous that Mr. Krause said that now they're going to make sure that none of this is prevented, but this happened to my brother. They're also going to continue to dismiss that my brother, the same day he got arrested, went to MHMR to get help, and they refused his services. We have on file, that's why it is very disheartening when we don't see Wayborn, because we have a file that admits, that has the county admitting that they knew that my brother had a mental illness. We actually just filed a motion today letting you know we have that evidence. So when you see other news that now they think they have a great victory, no they don't. And the fact that he knew he went to Kim Paxton, he just admitted that. Kim Paxton is the same one who's keeping the tape.
The higher ups.
He's keeping the tape. So to Mr. Wayborn and to all the other sheriffs, if what you're saying how you ran that jail is correct, then show the videotape. Because it shows every motion how it wasn't. My brother was killed from a pepper spray. Remember that. I'm so sorry that it was a gunshot to you, but it was a pepper spray. So can you imagine what went through in that jail cell, in his mouth? No medicine, and MHMR was notified. I'm sorry that you're going through this, but I guess Mr. Krause is new, and old boy is new, but I want to promise you, I've been trying to do this since April of last year to prevent this happening to your brother. But they don't want to talk about JPS, they don't want to talk about MHMR, and guess, the same thing that they did when we came on, the next day, they were over here praising. The next commissioner's court, praising, giving retirement, because now all of a sudden, Ecker wants to retire. So the fact that now they're praising the sheriff, that's the thing that they do. Of course you're supposed to arrest a fucking sexual predator. I'm sorry.
Remove her now.
Of course.
Remove her now.
And this is what we're talking
That is
about.
what you're going through.
No.
We're going to see this again.
Okay.
And everything she has said.
Remove him as well.
I'm sorry that you're going through.
Here we go, removing people, again, for using constitutionally protected speech.
But this is the same
They do
action
not have
I
to
want for my son's murder. Mr. O'Hare, do that.
It's in document 115. Look it up.
Chanel Jenkins is our next speaker. Following Ms. Jenkins, we have Bishop Kirkland.
That's my problem. Who needs a return?
Hello, my name is Chanel Jenkins for those of you who don't know me, I am the widow of Robert Miller, who died in Tarrant County Sheriff's Department custody.
I'm sorry to do this to you. Nobody can hear what you're saying. We're gonna probably take a brief recess, but give me just a second here. We're gonna take a 5-minute recess, so you'll be first up. We are now in recess.
And our officers, and it's executed that way.
Okay.
In
this case,
one sec. What is making that noise?
That's a wander outside.
Okay, gotcha. Go ahead.
Okay.
Tarrant County Sheriff's investigators and crime scene workers on their way back into a house after a deadly shooting. It happened in Haltom City on Twin Oaks Drive as deputies served a warrant for 19-year-old Christopher Guerrero, identified by his family.
It was a mental health warrant.
Jorge Guerrero says he asked the judge for a warrant because for a week and a half, his brother Christopher was in a mental health crisis.
He locked himself in his room. He wasn't eating. He was saying that his food was poisoned. He doesn't trust anybody. He was very paranoid.
Now, Jorge and his family want answers about how his brother ended up dead.
Brave men did what brave men do. We talk about training a great deal, and training is incredibly important to know the techniques and the tactics. But without the character of courage, training will fail. It's no good to us. These men demonstrated that day, that they were very courageous as they stood their ground and made sure that the bad guy was not a continuing threat to the community.
My name is Carla Palomares, a resident of Precinct 4. Firstly, I do want to thank Commissioner Simmons for representing Tarrant County well and always listening to the people, especially those who are not in her district and who are asking for help, because they're not receiving it from anyone else on this court. Thank you, Commissioner, for serving people who desperately need and deserve answers and accountability. TikTok. Yet another countdown has started. 19 days have passed since Christopher Loyal's life was unjustly stolen by the Tarrant County Sheriff's Department. TikTok. 19 days have passed and Christopher's family has received no communication from any other person on this court or the sheriff about that day or been reached out to for what they've needed as community members, as taxpayers, as residents of this county. TikTok. 19 days have passed and the body cam footage from the deputies who were present when this murder, yes, murder, took place and has not been released to the public or the family. TikTok. 19 days have passed since our 71st death occurred that this court and the sheriff, Wayborn, are solely responsible for every single one of them and continue to permit and defend as acceptable and commendable. TikTok. 2,912 days have passed since Wayborn was elected, and yet he's failed us over and over again throughout these days. It's been 750 days that you, Tim O'Hare, and you, Manny Ramirez, have sat on this court and continued to let incompetence run rampant in the sheriff's office. He's the one needlessly putting lives at risk, the lives of our residents, the lives of those who work for that department. When are you going to fire Bill Wayborn and call for an investigation for his costly negligence? This court must demand the body cam footage be released immediately. TikTok commissioners, your time's up.
Here again, this is such a sad scenario. I got questions. Why, my first question is, why is Commissioner Simmons the only one asking questions? Why is Commissioner Simmons the only one challenging this outlaw sheriff? What? It makes her look like the bad guy because she should go along to get along, and I submit that's why we're here now. It's too much going along to get along. What kind of de-escalation takes less than 2 minutes? This young man stood here today. He was there. He's not making this up. I watched the news. The family said less than 2 minutes after they walked out of the house with this young man, he was dead. That ought to be a problem. Then we come down here and use ugly words like transparency. That's the nastiest. You talk about decorum. That's the nastiest word I've heard. Transparency. When have you ever been transparent? And that family's back there waiting to see a videotape that they will never see because it will be caught up in bureaucracy and red tape, because that's not the way Tarrant County does business. And I feel bad for this family, and it's a shame. I know for a fact that Fort Worth Police Department in their budget have room for ride-along mental health specialists. Why doesn't the county? Why are we sending non-specialized people that need special care, and we wonder how we end up here again? It's derelict, it's misuse, it's abuse, and it's a damn shame that we come here every week, every 2 weeks, and we deal with this boy is not a statistic. He was their son. He's not a statistic. He's dead. You do know dead. Not breathing. Lying in a cold ground when a 19-year-old kid should be playing a video game or at least dealing with the sensation of his first by being third love. So here we are again at this hollow space asking the same questions. In the Marines, we used to say stuff rolls downhill, and that's what's happening right here. Because if it rolls uphill one time, and we get the real culprit, we get the real person, forget about all this training we're talking about. Forget about all this stuff, and there will be other bodies. There will be other bodies, and we'll just keep writing checks.
I want to say good morning, first of all. I'm not the one, to be honest, I'm not the one to be here. This is out of my zone. I'm not in the politician world. I was Christopher's brother. I was the one that requested the warrant, trying to get him help. And this is the return that we got. And first off, where is the sheriff? I think it's kind of odd that he was here to receive the award, but once he saw the agenda, where is he? Okay, that's a little odd. I want to say thank you to Miss Commissioner Simmons. She's the one that brought it to the agenda without even saying anything to us. She just put it on there and we just confirmed, yeah, and we sent over the questions. You're my precinct representative, and you haven't talked to me, you haven't brought anything up. Why is that? Don't know. My brother was the 70th person dead since his election, because the sheriff is elected, am I correct? Right, he's elected. Whenever I let the sheriffs in to get my brother, because I was instructed that he was going to be taken to GPS for MHMR evaluation. They didn't use me, they didn't use my mother. They opened his door. My brother was having a mental episode. I'm not sure why it was not reported, because I heard everything. They tased him twice back to back, and then they shot him right immediately after. I have law enforcement training. I was a police explorer. Obviously, I'm not a full police officer. I'm not licensed, but I have somewhat of a training, and I understand how tasers work, what leads to someone to deploy a weapon. I understand that. What I don't understand is why wasn't there dialogue before? Why didn't you say, hey, Christopher, do you want to talk to somebody? Hey, Christopher, how you feeling? You just opened his door, tased him twice, and then shot him. I just got done burying my 19-year-old brother. My mother's right there. What do I say to her? What do I say to her? I just want to have a little bit of a statement to the sheriff that apparently he's not even here. But you never knocked on his bedroom door. You never tried to simply talk to him. A simple hello. This could all have been avoided by just a conversation. He wasn't a threat to anybody. We didn't get his body a week after. I was the only person that saw him. I did not want to let anybody see him. People, my family doesn't know why, but I know why. Right in his face. Right in his face.
Thank you.
Wow, that's incredible. I just hope that this comes to the light, and I want to see body cam footage. I want to have a meeting with you, with Ms. Simmons, with the sheriff, if he's even willing to say anything to me. Because he showed up on the scene, didn't even look my way.
Judge O'Hare, if I'm not mistaken, your Facebook page is a public forum, but you blocked me. I'd encourage you.
It's not, but okay.
ACLU has a template on their website. This should not take from me, you responding, interrupting me. So I should get 3 minutes again. I didn't ask you to interrupt me. ACLU has a template, so I'm going to trust their answer more than I trust yours. I'll go right to that answer that you gave me. This is why you blocked me, or you can explain. You can provide the text that I wrote you on which you based your decision to block me. I asked Judge O'Hare, do you support the right of citizens to have body camera video from your own encounters with police? He responded, I've never been asked, but don't see why not. It should be a public record. You were a lawyer. Body camera videos today, body camera videos last time, body camera videos next time. You've never been asked. That, as my lawyer said to the police who testified in my trial, that's not a truthful and honest answer. Or perhaps I should say that's a disingenuous answer. Body camera videos, in fact, are at the heart of why I'm here. I was just a school teacher working on education reform when I was subject to police misconduct. And I'm not just saying that. A Benbrook Police Internal Affairs ruling substantiated my claim. But it was a lot worse than they'll tell you. You just have to look at the body camera video. Who doesn't want body camera video? Transparency, truth and justice, accountability. I was a teacher. I wanted videos in my classroom. I asked for them. I didn't get funding. But who doesn't want them? Those who don't want the public to know the truth, like the city of Benbrook, Benbrook PD, leadership. We've always got some great officers in there, and thanks to the great officers, we work on behalf of them. My grandfather was a police officer, several cousins. I considered the career. I know several police officers, even on a force with corrupt leadership like Benbrook, several great officers. In addition, we have an attorney general who prioritizes going after transgender people than providing those videos to the public. They can be withheld for any reason. The city of Benbrook, go look at their city hall. Millions of dollars. They spent nearly $200,000 to bury power lines for about 300 feet for photo opportunities. So it looks good in pictures, right? Their excuse for not releasing body camera video to me was, we don't have the technological capability to redact video. Everyone here with a cell phone has the technological capability to redact video. What you don't have is a commitment to truth, justice, honor, respect for the public, and that dirty word that someone said, I think I've said it a few times, transparency.